and we're actually heading to a local car meet.
There is this beautiful Mk2 Escort for us to check out. Brian's mint Mk2 Fiesta, racing against his missus down the quarter mile. A beautiful girlfriend has been slaving away, and I'm not even sure if I've got enough in this bottle. I'm going to use my hacksaw, and this one was very loose. I had one of these earlier. They're banging.
Hello and welcome to the cockpit of my favourite car, Esther, the ST170 powered Mk1 Escort, where I've been joined this evening by my beautiful girlfriend Kat, and we're actually heading to a local car meet. It was a bit of a last minute decision, but yeah, we need to get something to eat anyway, so hoping for a really cool evening. The weather is certainly on side. Now we are now 1.5 days away from the Ford show at Santa Pod, and by the time this video comes out, that show probably would have come and gone, but I am really looking forward to it. It's going to be the biggest MH club stand yet, with almost 50 cars supposed to be on my club stand. We'll see how many actually make it, but yeah, even though we are 1.5 days away from the show, I'm still yet to do any pod prep on this thing, so yeah, really need to dive into doing that tomorrow. So this evening's car meet is being hosted by the WATFORD group, and we did go to a couple of their meets, but it was years ago, and they've now moved to a new location. So yeah, looking forward to seeing who brings their Fords out on this Friday evening. Welcome to Shirley's Roadhouse.
The car park is filled with mainly a wide variety of modern Focuses and Fiestas, which means my old banger is probably one of the slowest here. There is this beautiful Mk2 Escort for us to check out though, which although is badged up as a 1.6, actually has a 2 litre Pinto lump in the bay running on side draft Webers. The cockpit is comfortable but purposeful. I love the aftermarket steering wheel, and you can't go wrong with RS 4-spokes. This RS Focus belongs to one of the organisers of the WATFORD meets, and I love the way the yellow accents contrast against the dark blue paint. Always cool to see a Mk1 RS Focus at a show or meet. This one is absolutely mint, and I'm loving the Team Dynamics rims. Alright, into a new day, and it's pod prep day. But before I drag Esther out of her garage and crack on with a few jobs, I think it's about time we gave a mention to July's entry in the official MH 2025 calendar, which is Brian's mint Mk2 Fiesta. Now, it's fair to say that Brian's family, the McMAHONs, are probably the coolest family in the classic Ford scene. They regularly, as a family, together work on and enjoy their classic Fords, and we always see them out and about at various events together as a family. In fact, at last year's The Ford Show, they brought 2 classic Fords, 2 classic Fiestas. Kerry, Brian's wife, was in a blue Mark III Fiesta, and Brian was in this Mark II Fiesta. In fact, the calendar picture is from last year's The Ford Show, when Brian was on track racing against his missus down the quarter mile, which was awesome. Now, both of those Fiestas have been sold, but Brian and his family are regularly posting on Instagram, so I was able to go back through Brian's Instagram to give you guys a bit of history with regards to Brian's ownership of this Mark II Fiesta. Now, as is usually the case with the McMahon's cars, this Fiesta was a very low mileage example. It actually had 10,000 miles on the clock when they picked it up, And as is usually the case, the first stage of the project was to strip it down and give it a machine polish, which instantly made the car look a whole lot better. At this stage, they did also give the front and rear bumpers a repaint because they were a little bit too far gone. The Fiesta was treated to a lot of love and various upgrades, including some lows and some alley cat rims. But eventually they decided to put the car back on steel wheels, but this time they were banded steels. Another really cool touch for this Fiesta was the BMX bike that they had painted up in the same colours as the Fiesta, and they regularly brought that bike along to various events on the roof of the Fiesta. So yeah, just such a cool look that makes this Fiesta stand out from the crowd at car shows. So that's just a brief version of the story of the McMahons owning this Fiesta. It's not their first Mk2 Fiesta that they've owned and improved and then sold on, and who knows, maybe it won't be their last. Brian is currently enjoying his 4-door Mk2 Escort, which as usual is getting a lot of love and being improved over time. But with the McMahons usually having 2 classic Fords in their fleet, I wonder what they're going to be grabbing next so that Kerry can drive to the meets and the shows. But whatever they do decide to get next or in the future, I'm sure they'll keep us all updated on their Instagram, so feel free to go and give them a follow over there. I do want to send a massive thanks out to Brian, Kerry and the rest of the McMahons for your positivity and support of this channel over the years. But with that being said, I need to get myself round to the garage and crack on with getting Esther ready for Santa Pod tomorrow. But as we speak, my beautiful girlfriend Kat is also doing some pod prep in the kitchen. My beautiful girlfriend has been slaving away creating a ton of cupcakes. We've got these chocolate ones, then there's some lemon ones and some chocolate chip ones, and they all still need to have the icing added. And then the most important ingredient, which is the MH branded toppers. These are actually made of icing this time rather than just rice paper. So yeah, once I've confirmed that they're up to scratch in terms of standard, then we can put the MH branding on them.
All right, well, I was already pushed for time a little bit today, but things have got even worse because once I pulled this thing out of the garage, I realised that the oil that I'd bought to do an oil change on it was over at my other garage. So I had to go on a 1 hour plus round trip to go and retrieve that oil. I didn't go in this car, I took Cat's Focus, but yeah, that now means I've got even less time to do everything that I want to on this car today, so that it's ready for tomorrow's show. So now I'm just taking this thing for a rip to get the oil nice and warm so that it's easier to drain out to do that oil change. So yeah, once I've finished said rip, we'll get back to the garage and crack on.
Back at the garage, it's time to crack on with the oil change. So with Esther jacked up, I can remove the oil cap and then undo and remove the sump plug to drain the oil out of the sump. All right, I'm going to leave that for a good while to let every drip of oil drain out. And it's worth noting, because the drain plug on the G19 sump is on the driver's side at the back, you can just jack up the front passenger side and then all the oil is able to drain out. I did actually level the car just now and the drips didn't get any faster. So yeah, it will definitely fully drain out with it jacked up like that. Now I will of course be switching out the oil filter for a genuine Ford one, of course, and these are available from my website at marcushayesuk.com. But I'm actually going to be trying a different grade of oil this time. I'm going to be using this 1040 instead of 530. Now some of you may be wondering why I'm even bothering to do an oil change on this engine, seeing as it is so tired, and you'd be absolutely right for wondering that. In fact, I was expecting by now to have this car ripped apart and have this engine removed and either rebuilt or replaced, because it is super tired. But I've been focusing on Heidi, my Mk2 Escort lately, so I think I'm better off keeping this thing together for the rest of the summer so that I can enjoy it. In fact, the main reason why I feel like I've got to rip a lot of the car apart is because of this rust repair that needs to be done here, and it hasn't really got any worse, luckily, but I'm sure that will grow once I start grinding things away. So yeah, for now I'll keep this thing together and carry on enjoying it, which means, you know, I need to do this long overdue oil change on this ST170 lump, even though it's tired. Now, the reason I'm using thicker oil is because this engine is so tired, there's a lot of crankcase pressure, and I get a lot of oil coming out of the filter of this catch can. You can see what I mean here. And I've heard from quite a few other people that using a thicker oil can help prevent oil coming out of various places on your engine if you've got too much crankcase pressure. Now, I realise that changing to a thicker oil isn't solving the issue I've got. The issue is that the engine's tired, but I'm hoping that this might maybe help with the symptoms of said tired engine, but we'll have to see. With all the oil drained out, I can now refit the sump plug and then unscrew the oil filter from the block. A bit of oil on the seal of the new filter should help it seal better, and once it's screwed onto the block, I can get Esther back on the ground. And then it's time to chuck the fresh oil in. Then I need to run the engine to fill the oil filter up before topping the oil back up accordingly. All right, oil change done, and now you join me under the rear end of the car. Really struggling to get under here with the car on the ground, but I want to check the diff oil, and the car needs to be level to do that, and I'm too lazy to jack up the front and the rear. Anyway, recently, and it's only now and again, the diff feels like it's not quite as aggressive as I remember it was, which can mean that the clutch plates inside the LSD are wearing out. It's inevitable, they're going to wear out someday. Although, to be honest, I'm not actually 100% sure whether this diff is a clutch type or a geared type. It's a black line diff. I think it's a clutch type one because it felt aggressive when it was new, but I'm not 100% sure. Anyway, it feels slightly less aggressive every now and again, and I know that it leaks a little bit of diff oil from the pinion seal, so I'm wondering if maybe the reason it feels a bit less aggressive is because it's low on oil, because the LSD oil has friction modifiers in it which enable the clutches to grip to each other inside the LSD. So in theory, if there ain't enough oil in it, then there might not be enough friction modifier in it, which might make the diff slightly less aggressive. I don't know. With the bung removed from the rear axle and no oil dripping out, I can now confirm that the diff is indeed low on oil. And I'm not even sure if I've got enough in this bottle to top it right back up. Nope, it still needs more oil. But then, Pat found some more LSD oil. So I can now put some more oil in the axle, and once it's dripping out of the hole, I know that it's filled up correctly and I can refit the bung. Alright, so as it turned out, the diff needed quite a bit of oil. It was quite low. It wasn't dry by any means. There's no risk of the bearings being worn out. But yeah, we'll see if it feels any more aggressive now that the right amount of oil is in the diff. I'm leaning towards thinking that it might be on its way out, to be honest, and it might need a new set of clutch discs. But yeah, we'll see. Big round of applause to my beautiful girlfriend Kat though for finding some more LSD oil in my garage. And she's actually just run to WATFORD to grab something that I hope is going to solve something that's wrong with this car. But we'll get to that later, because first I want to switch out some bits that have annoyed me and loads of you for ages. I'm talking about these rusty bolts that I've got on my carbon fibre bumpers. These side ones actually aren't that rusty at all. Now, these bolts that I bought are sort of natural black colour, so, you know, they're not painted or powder coated or anything, but yeah, they're not really protected enough to stop them going rusty, as you can really see with this one. And for a while, I was actually struggling to find some different type of those Allen key bolts to put in these bumpers. It was mainly these side ones that I couldn't find long enough. Now, it's worth noting that you can actually get black original type bolts without the Allen key bit in the end of them, you know, and they've got like the square bit just under the head, but I can't use those because these bumpers don't have square holes in them like original bumpers would. These have just been drilled out, you know, by me to enable me to be able to bolt them to the brackets. And in an ideal world, I'd like to find a set of anodized black aluminium bolts, but again, it seems really difficult to find ones that are long enough for here, and it's pointless having all the others black and then having silver ones here. So for now, I say for now, I bought these probably over a year ago. I've got these zinc plated silver ones to go in, which might look a bit odd with the silver against the black, but let's be honest, this whole car looks odd anyway. The nuts for the two side rear bumper bolts are inside the boot. It's out with the old and in with the new, making sure it goes through its spacer, then into the rear quarter panel where I can attach the nut. With the other side done, I'm really not sure about these silver bolts, but they're better than rusty ones, so we'll crack on. Onto the 4 front quarter bumper bolts now, but there's a problem, I'm 1 bolt short. With a nut threaded onto one of the longer Allen key bolts, I'm going to use my hacksaw to cut the bolt down. Then by threading the nut up and down the end of the bolt, I can repair the threads that would have been distorted by the hacksaw blade. Now I can finally get the last bolt in, but I still think I need to get some black bolts. Alright, today is fast running out and I still need to get this old banger cleaned for the show tomorrow. But there is one other issue that I've been meaning to deal with for over a year that I think I have just sussed out. So for ages now, I've been running one windscreen wiper because the other one, not the wiper, the blade, flew off on the way to a car show last summer. When that blade flew off, I basically took the arm off and chucked it in the car because I didn't want the arm scratching on the windscreen when I turn the windscreen wipers on. So I've just been having one wiper. Well, today, I got my beautiful girlfriend Kat to go and get a universal 14-inch wiper from WATFORD, and I was just hoping that the clips it comes with would be suitable to attach to this Mk1 Escort wiper arm. Now, normally, Escort blades are chrome, and you can get stainless steel ones, but I want mine to be black. And yeah, I wasn't sure whether, you know, any old universal one would fit. But as it turns out, the WATFORD one came with this clip, which goes onto the arm way better than the one that I still had on this arm. So yeah, this is a way better clip. So I am going to get another wiper blade from WATFORD and use this type clip. The clip that was on the other blade is this one, and this one was very loose. So at some point I would have lost the driver's side blade as well. But strangely, the clip that came with that WATFORD wiper blade, which is exactly the same design as this, actually stays on there nice and sturdy. So with the WATFORD wiper blade, you can either use that type clip, which is the same as this but works better, or this type clip. But this one does seem a lot better than that one. So as I say, I will be buying another one of those blades, and I'm just going to use this type clip. Once I've chosen an ideal angle for it, I can push the wiper arm onto the mechanism, and with the brand new wiper blade clicked on, the windscreen now looks a lot less silly.
All right, off we go to our local jet wash to do the final job that I've got time for today. There was a couple of other bits I wanted to look at, but yeah, it is what it is. We've at least got to get this thing cleaned so it looks half decent. My beautiful girlfriend Kat is behind me in her Focus that she likes to call Lenny, because he'll be on van duties tomorrow, carrying our gazebo and stuff, so he'll be on the club stand, so we've got to get him looking half decent as well.
All right, Esther is safely back in her garage and we are almost ready to go to Santa Pod tomorrow. We still need to load up Kat's car with all the gazebo and all that. But the MH cupcakes are done. This is chocolate chip, yeah? Mm-hmm. And these are lemon. And then these are the chocolate ones. Chocolate brownie flavour. I had one of these earlier. They're banging. We didn't quite buy enough of the MH toppers, so there's a few that aren't official MH ones, but yeah, cupcakes for breakfast then tomorrow. Anyway, right now it's time for us to have some dinner and we've got steak, so I'm really looking forward to that. But it was really cool today doing some bits on Esther. I've got a whole load more bits that I want to do on her when I do finally get around to ripping her apart, but I'm going to focus my attention on Heidi for now and get her on the road. I've had some more parts through the post for Heidi, which I'll be chucking on the car next week. So stay tuned to the channel for that. But that's all I've got for this video. Massive thanks, as always, to everyone who's tuned in. Do give the video a thumbs up if you haven't already. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Check all the links in the description to follow me elsewhere on the internet. Huge thanks, as always, to my patrons for your ongoing support. But other than that, until next time, from me and my beautiful assistant, thanks for watching.